Welcome to episode number 15. I am your host, Sebastian Engstrom, and today Eric Morris joins me. He is a fish entrepreneur, a generous man with a massive heart. He gives back to society and in a way that you might not find even sustainable. Like, he's doing this by giving away a lot of his fish to homeless shelters. Hear about some of the fascinating stories from that too, as well as he delivers this to your door via online methods, and he helps and supports local farmers markets, my favorite personally. And we go into his past of the drug game and some other darker parts and how he's brought that forth, even a suicidal attempt. I mean, there are some interesting things that we go into, and it's just amazing where he's at today based off of that. Thank you for tuning in. And if this message is compelling to you, if this show helps you, you feel like, wow, all right, I want to give something back, we would truly appreciate if you scroll down on Apple, hit 5 stars. It takes 5 seconds. Or hit like, subscribe, any platform that you're on. Thank you for doing such. And if you haven't checked out the CrossFit programs, the Methodical CrossFit, the gymnastics CrossFit program, I do it myself, highly affected, get shredded, get stronger, get more fit, but also get more skilled. These are programs where we actually week by week have similar exercises so you get better. And it's going to be fun too. I am there in the app helping you out. You can see videos, you can see instructions, and you can find these with 15% off on Safina.io or SafinaStrength.com by hitting all caps Safina 15. So Eric, you are an incredibly brave soul, and it's an honor to have you on the podcast. You're one that have faced adversity, challenges, so many things that came and keep on coming at you, but your reality is shifting and changing. You are an inspiration to so many people, including myself, and I've told you this before, and I tell you this again. Even when you don't see it, you have supporters and you have fans. Whenever you're going through whatever you're going through, and you're doing you're changing things in this world, like with local seafood distribution across the United States, with changing the game for not only the fishes and the local sea life and the people around you, but for the United States too. And you're doing it for the homeless. And your life wasn't always like this. How did it become like this?
Good question. Yeah, I think that within each of us we have our higher self, and our higher self doesn't always shine through. But I think the core of most of us is really is good and pure and love. And I think that it's taken a while for it to shine through, but it is shining through. I'll introduce myself real quick. My name is Eric Morris. I am the founder of a company called Local 130 Seafood. We sell and distribute locally caught fish from fishing vessels to the public and to restaurants across the state of New Jersey and into Philadelphia. We work in about 14 farmers markets throughout the state. And during COVID, we lost 80 to 90% of our business. And we were forced to shift and pivot our business model to offer direct to consumer, which turned out to be a really good move. And we are now scaling and trying to go more into direct to consumer seafood. We were faced with some challenges along the ways, especially given the fact that it was a perishable product that we had to make a choice. And so what Sebastian is referring to is that I had to make a choice the day March 12th, I had $50,000 in inventory. And I had to make the choice of, do I try to sell the inventory as quick as I can to whoever I can, or do I just donate it? And do I just give it to homeless shelters around the state and do something good that makes my heart feel good? And so that's what we did. We gave it to just about 6 different shelters. And then we offered our online customers the opportunity to donate meals. And so to date, we've donated over 50,000 meals to our community, and we just like haven't stopped. It's just something that we do continuously, and it's been a cool program. But aside from business, I'm a wandering soul, and just, you know, like the rest of us, figuring out how to optimize and maximize this human experience.
So being a profitable entrepreneur in a business, how are you able to make that work with giving away so much too?
I don't think I don't think we're really giving away much. I think we're giving away what we can. You know, we are taking donations, and that's been really good. But again, like, that is something that it's good for the soul. It's good for the brand. It's good for feeling good about your choices and your decisions in business. And when you feel good about your decisions, you tend to make better decisions. So I think that it's not like, how can we do it? It's how can we not do it, right? Like, how can you not give back, right? Like, we're not a super successful company, but like, we're not going to be any more successful if we don't donate, you know? Like, so I just feel it's something that you kind of have to do. And I hope more companies take social initiatives into effect when they're running their businesses. Right? Profit is profit. And like, yes, we're in business to make a profit, but we're also in business to help people. And for the most part, you know, I don't see that in big business.
So why I think it's incredible for your story to be heard and shared is, for a lot of high performers, elite performers out there, there's something that took them to that place where they're at today. And many times we don't hear about the darkness or the difficult things that have happened in the past, or why they are such generous people, or why they're making a contribution to this world. And you have such a wonderful state that you're in right now, and what you can do and what you're doing. And there are so many that get stuck when they're at the pinnacle of what many people see as success. They are, I mean, they have the material things, they have the house, the car, the watch, the man, the wife, whatever. You have the title and everything that you're supposed to have, but you are still not happy. Like, you're still like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Or maybe you haven't hit that point, but you feel like, okay, but there's something else than just this. I've reached it all now. Sometimes it took me to get there. And I know you've had your share of that as well. When you reach that point too, when you start realizing that giving back is also something that's going to not only level up other people and make a contribution and see the happiness in other people, but also brings yourself up, and all of a sudden you have purpose in life. How did that transformation happen in your life?
Yeah, that's a good question. It happened slowly over the course of many, many years. But yeah, I think I was one of those people, as we all are. Like, society puts these pressures on us to conform to what they think creates mass morality, which is, you know, have the successful job and the six-figure salary and the house and the kid and the dog and the minivan and the college plan and the RA, and, you know, max out your 401k. And I tend to disagree. I think that happiness is you have to work for it, you know, and it's not like you don't like pick up a rock and like, oh, here, I'm happy, like, great. No, but I struggled, you know, for many, many years with substance abuse and addiction, and with my ego in a lot of ways. And so I come from a place of, I like to use and I'll quote a friend of ours, Sam Cabert, and he's a recovering bro. And I feel very much like I'm a recovering bro in a lot of ways. Because we go to college and we do the thing that society says we should do, but instead of going to college for an education, I went to get fucked up, to party my fucking face off, to do as many illegal things as possible, to avoid getting caught, to, just to kind of fucking live this experience. And so I did. And what I was chasing was trauma. And I was chasing, I'm not good enough my whole life. So the I'm not good enough syndrome. And also, frankly, like I'll be happy when syndrome. I think that both were on the prerequisite of my addiction. And really I used primarily alcohol and cocaine to numb both of those feelings. So it's, it took a lot of years and a couple tries, but I found some bliss at the end of this. And I think, I put my struggles in the form of spoken word. And so I use poetry and comedy and other arts as a way to self-express and a way to get out and to challenge myself and to sit with discomfort, right? Like doing comedy in front of a bunch of people or poetry in front of a bunch of people is super discomforting. It sucks. Your heart races. It's totally fear. But once you get through it and you do it a bunch of times, it becomes comfortable. And so I'll spit a quick poem for you that I wrote after being inspired by NQ, who is a great poet. And we were at the same, we actually met at the same event that NQ was at, and I had written this poem there, and I'll share it with you. It's called "Life of the Party," and it kind of takes you on a journey through some of my substance abuse, a couple overdoses, and some feelings of insecurity. So it's called "Life of the Party." I used to be the life of the party. Let's rock, take shots, eat pills, get gnarly. Give me whiskey, give me gin, give me coke, give me speed. I'm not in this to get drunk. It's the adrenaline that I need. When 2 turns to 20, I'm the life of the party. See, I love the rush, the beads of sweat on the upper lip. Blood coursing, heart racing, nose sniffling, always chasing. Internal manifestations project as external self-gratifications. I used to be the life of the party. That's probably because I brought most of the drugs to the party. I need more. This line, that line, all the lines until I hit that line. That line where the mitochondria stop, where the cells cease. A place where biology, chemistry, and all human science say, enough. Fade to black. But that's not the end of my story. I was destined for more, for greatness, to be immortalized in the halls of whiskey-fueled cocaine glory. I used to be the life of the party. Bourbon dreams turned to Xanax nightmares. Rinse and repeat. That suppressed voice grew louder and louder. Give me this pill, give me that pill. I could once again see that line. I was walking death's tightrope, which is a game for the truly divine. Darkness had drowned out all my light. I sunk deeper and deeper into the shadows. Substance abuse had won my fight. See, waking up on the balcony in the middle of the winter had me tweaking. But it was the rope tied around my neck that got me truly thinking, is this finally the day that I choose to stop drinking?
Feeling tears coming up, and that is gratitude for the vulnerability and how brave you are to share that, and also the empathy, because and just compassion. And I'm so freaking grateful that you're still here.
Yeah, man. I almost decided to take my life twice, through depression and through coming down off of drugs and alcohol, and it is a powerful thing to think about ending your life. And in that particular circumstance, I don't really remember much of the thought, as I was really fucked up. And what the funny part is that with that story, I remember the thought, I remember the rope. I was super high on fucking cocaine, and I just said, you know what? I don't want to feel this. Like, I don't want to hurt. So let me eat this fucking giant pill of Xanax, and let me fucking I won't feel anything. So I take the Xanax and I fucking pass out. And so substance abuse saved my life. So, I'm grateful for everything that I've been through that got me to this point, because I am in love with the person that's showing up in front of the screen. And so I have gratitude for all of those experiences, both negative and positive. It wouldn't have made me who I am today. So yeah, man, it's part of the battle. I still struggle, and I still struggle with that component of my ego that wants more, that needs to push the envelope. That part of my psyche is named Thor. Thor is a drinking, snorting, fucking crazy man, and he likes to party. And he comes out, he gets fear of missing out, and sometimes I can pinpoint when he's showing up, and other times I don't really notice till after. But it's something that we battle with, and healing substance abuse is all about healing trauma and figuring out your trauma and what caused the behavior in the first place. And so that's what I've done in a lot of ways.
So one of the things that we connected on early on was getting mixed up in a crowd. You can say on the streets to a degree, but really getting into the whole, rap hip hop scene, and just that exciting thrill, the artistry, but also the nitty gritty stuff that goes into it. I mean, it's there's confidence, there's beauty, there's this charm about it. I did it as part of a rebellion because my father wasn't there. I lived away from him, and I didn't have that structure. I didn't have that discipline or that fatherly figure. My dad was at work, and I grew up on an island. He grew up in Stockholm, capital of Sweden, and I would see him every 2 weeks on the weekends. And through that, my mom was more of the spiritual, free living being, and it was more challenging for her as a single mom to take care of my brother and I. So, I needed to entertain myself somehow on an island. But that turned out to be being up to and finding friends. Well, I just ended up in a class of people where there's a lot of just up to no good, and kind of like pushing the envelope and the boundaries. And in that same time, I found... What's that?
What kind of trouble did you find that in Sweden listening to hip hop?
On a small island, right? Yeah.
Like, what were you doing? Like, dude, you're
nothing like significant. It was more the people that I was surrounded by. Like, it's petty stuff now in hindsight, like just like shoplifting and stuff like that. Like, it's minor things, but it turned into like, it started escalating, and you started seeing like, okay, well, it's not a game anymore. And like, what are some of these people that they are getting mixed up with? And then like when the police starts getting involved, and when people start like, I realized when people start getting hurt, or when things really started ramping up, like, all right, this is not for me. But when I discovered, especially on that boarding island, I discovered a new way of life. I'm like, I can't do this. I was just always different. I always wanted something more out of life. And then I discovered hip hop and rap, and DMX with It's Dark and Hell It's Hot. It's not any regular hip hop album. Like, this is some dark, like hardcore stuff. But through that, I'm like, whoa, like this is some other type of like a reality. And it introduced me into confidence, because it always weighed, like I'd taken on that I was never really good enough, and my confidence was low. And that put me into this alternate state of like, whoa, this is badass, and let me pursue this with all my heart. But there is trauma behind it, right? Go ahead.
Then you found your dogs barking.
Where are them dogs at? Yeah. Um, and that led to other things, and eventually here in the United States. And with that, but there was trauma, right? There was trauma with my father, and I felt like he wasn't there. And a lot of things. That's why I'm here today for. It's just been my journey. Like Arby says, that my greatest hurt is also my greatest superpower. Um, and you started going into the root of why you think you turned to the drugs and alcohol. Like, where do you feel like that showed up for you? I know we
Yeah,
have some similarities. Yeah.
yeah, for sure, dude. It's a good question. I was the son of working middle class parents, and we were in a suburb of New York City, and my mom and my dad were always working, and I was raised by a Filipino housekeeper because they were always out, they were always working, they were always trying to like provide. I shared a room with my three siblings until I was 15, um, and they were doing the best they could, but they didn't show up for me a ton because they were working and they were trying to provide. And I totally get that, but it left me with that syndrome of I'm not enough. Frankly, like my childhood was fairly good. I pretty much raised myself in a lot of ways. Like I had to do my homework, but as long as like I didn't get in too much trouble at school, like no suspensions, but like detention every day, that was cool. I pretty much kind of stayed under their radar because they were always kind of working. And as long as they didn't have to like stop work to come into the school to like deal with me, like we were good. But yeah, no, I think that they didn't show up for me as a child. And that created this, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for their love. I'm not good enough for their attention. I'm not good enough for all this. And so I was always kind of chasing the I'm not good enough, and the way that I would feel good enough was by numbing that feeling, and I would numb with alcohol, first and foremost, and then cocaine and then other recreational drugs. But yeah, I think that was the root mainly, and then fear of missing out was another one that came in later, of just fear of missing that experience, which led me, frankly, to say yes to a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have. But they created awesome memories and experiences. But I wasn't given a ton of great advice. And, I was kind of shipped off to college. And I created something that was not so legal, but also allowed me to have financial freedom, and it's the stories around like selling weed, right? Like I started selling weed when I was a little kid. I'd go into New York City when I was in middle school. We only lived 25-30 minutes from New York City, and I'd be the guy that took orders for everybody, and whatever you wanted I would go get. So whether that was like nunchucks, fucking a dime bag of weed, porno movies, Chinese throwing stars, fireworks, like, yeah, no worries, I'll get you. And I would like literally show up to school, put the shit in my locker, and just like sell things out of my locker.
As a child, you would have been a freaking hero. Like I always wondered, where do I get this stuff? You see it in the movies, like where do I get this? You're the guy.
I was the guy. Yeah, it was easy. I used to go to I had the spot 47 Mott Street in Chinatown, New York. I would take the A train to Canal Street, get off at 47 Mott Street, and I would get everything there. And I come back with like bags of stuff. And I got picked up twice in Port Authority by the police because you're like 12 years old carrying fucking garbage bags full of stuff on the bus. Like, what is this kid doing? But yeah, man. And so that was where I was really the first stages of entrepreneurship, which led me to kind of sell a lot of weed in college before it was legal in the state of Colorado. And, which made me a really good fish salesman because it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. Like we're selling, I guess weed isn't as perishable as seafood, but we're selling a product as fast as possible. And we're using other people's credit to do it, So like, that's really how I got started in business was the drug game.
And you hear it glorified so many times. I mean, we're both fans of hip hop rap. Like, I mean, what comes to mind, your home city or hometown, well, more in New York, is JC. Like how he glorified the dope game, and how he came up from that. Like,
Bro, Nas Illmatic.
Nas, yeah, sure, yeah.
Was like the anthem growing up. Enter 36 Chambers was fucking God, right? Like, that album was played more in my childhood than like anything, especially when you're like hustling. And it, you know, it made the hustle a little bit more acceptable in your own mind, you know. So I definitely resonated with Wu-Tang, with Nas, early Jay-Z, Biggie for sure was a big influence, you know. I mean, who doesn't know the 10
whatever he's called?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. The 10 Crack Commandments were fucking we're yeah, man, like all that good hip hop. Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul. Yeah, dude. I loved hip hop, and I love the New York hip hop scene. You know, back in like the early to like mid '90s, I was growing up going to Fat Beats on 6th Avenue, checking out pick up basketball game on West 4th Street, then going up to Fat Beats, grabbing vinyl, and then bringing them back. And I couldn't spin for shit, but my boys would all spin, and so they would always pick up like, you know, we'd pick up fucking the newest albums, whatever they were. Yeah, man, that was the days of like New York hip hop, and people were out there hustling their mixtapes in front of Fat Beats. Like, little did you know there ended up being like big fucking names and shit. Yeah, it's cool. Noriega, oh man.
Oh yeah,
Conan Noriega, those guys. Oh, dude, I loved early hip hop. Like, it was definitely a major factor in kind of who I am, and really the rhythm of hip hop, which then got me into poetry, which I never really knew that I had that in me. But yeah, man, I spit a lot of poetry, and I take it back to those days for sure.
I was many times looking at and watching the And1 mixtapes and wishing, like deeply wishing, oh, I wish I was on the streets of New York, and I was there in my mind, and you're just telling me the stories, like, oh, it takes me back to, yeah, just listening, even though, I mean, in retrospect and listening to some of the lyrics now, yeah, they're controversial. Yeah, they're I mean, this gentrification, there's a lot of bad language and drugs, alcohol, and a bunch of that stuff. But through that journey, I'd almost say those were my best friends growing up. As strange as that might sound, and like, there's that saying, the 5 closest people to you is you're going to be the average of that. And for me, many times, it's not necessarily the people who are in my physical presence. It might not be, well, yeah, it's my spouse, but if I were to be on my own, like many times, like growing up or traveling the world, these hip hop artists, these were my 5. Like, some of these people, and that, who of my 5? Yeah. They've been switching. They've been switching on and off.
But dude, let's close your eyes and take you back to like 14-year-old Sebastian. Who's Sebastian resonating at 14 years old on an island in Sweden?
You had, yeah, DMX was one of them. Yeah, you had what's his name? His name is escaping me. There are all these, but yeah, it was Nas was one of them as well. Jay-Z was one of them. But yeah, I started getting into, it was the New York hip hop that really got into the East Coast, the Northeast. What you were saying, that was a lot of it. And then my journey took me then more to the South. That was at a later point. And there's the Southern drawl, and we've gotten into it, but it was really, it was the hardcore. It was the, you're on the edge and you're pushing the edge, and you're challenging reality. You're challenging status quo. And that's what really got me. And it was done in a artistic, poetic way, with beats that made me just dream off to a different reality. And I still connect to this day. And that's why you have the intro. I was going between hip hop rap song and piano, because those are my two. And we combine both. I'm like, oh man, I'm in heaven. And yeah, go ahead. There's something that comes up for you there.
I when you say that, I think of that shimmy shimmy y'all, shimmy yeah, shimmy yeah. But they RZA did it with like he did it with like school kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. I'll send you the link afterwards.
Nice.
I mean, dude, hip hop, especially in the the late '90s, early 2000s, was so influential in my life. I never really got into the southern hip hop scene. I mean, of course, Outkast and Outkast and like Master P and and Cash Money, of course, that was like who was cool growing up. But those are the glory days of hip hop, man. Those were dude.
I gotta say two names that we haven't mentioned: Talib Kweli and Mos Def.
Yeah. Black Star, bro. I went and saw Black Star a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. Talib Kweli and Mos Def we're amazing. That Black Star album was one of my favorite albums growing up.
Yeah. With this, and this is part of stepping into being a high performer, and even you seeing me in a suit jacket right now, that's part of, I've just toned it back on a lot of things that I own. It's all about minimalism now, but it's really, how do I show up as the best version of myself and just owning who I am? And part of my journey was pushing away the hip hop and rap, because I felt like, oh, well, that's kind of older people look down upon. It's this freaking, it's a bunch of gangsters and up to no good people who listen to it, but it's just an incredible expression, and just owning that part of myself, and just owning that part of, okay, well, this can have a beautiful way of just showing up in a human being and have a positive expression that doesn't get broadcasted in the news or in media or in business people. That never really gets brought up. I thought I needed to start listening to, I enjoy classic music, but all this classic stuff, I'm like, no. And that is a big change, that stepping into now entrepreneurship is just letting go of all this old shit. I gotta say, old stuff that I thought, old belief systems that you need to be doing this and this, you need to be working from this time to this time, or never really stop working, or you always need a hustle, you need to follow this hierarchy, you need to follow this, you need to have these good grades, you need this, you need that. And it's no, that doesn't freaking matter. One of the things,
you don't need to do anything.
No.
I'm gonna tell you a really big realization that I had actually this week, and I went on a really deep plant medicine journey on Sunday using 5-MeO-DMT bufo alvaris, the toad, and I got sent into a place of absolute pure unicity with all things, with everything, with source, God, whatever you want to call it. I was in this state of oneness with everything. And when I came out of it with a really big case of the fuckets, right? Nothing matters because we're just in the fucking matrix. And this higher level of consciousness, this higher plane is really what matters. So anything we really do here, whatever. And so what I had to take away from that, and I had to integrate, was that, man, we're all playing a game, man. This human experience is a game, and we get to choose the rules. We get to play it by our own rules, and we are the creators of this game that we're playing. And frankly, we can go any direction we want, and nothing anyone says really matters because we're all one. And so that was a pretty powerful download that I got this week. But again, man, you want to fucking listen to hip hop and wear a fucking jersey and a backwards Yankee hat, bro? Fuck, I love you anyway. Do it, bro. Fucking live your life. But I think the key thing there is that nothing that we're supposed to be or should be or any of that means anything. The only thing that matters is the game that you decide to play for yourself. And you play it with two major parts. There's two components of the game: love and truth. And if you play it with love and truth, you're gonna fucking win. No matter whether or not the financial piece, that's just part of the game. The emotional piece, part of the game. It's all part of the game. and maybe we don't have one or the other, but we play, you know. And so I'm creating my own game, and frankly, fucking, I'm gonna win. And eventually, there's a lot of levels, and they're not all gonna be beautiful. They're
You're
not
already winning, though.
Yeah,
You just got to know that you already won. Now it's just on to the next, like on to the next game or battle or boss or whatever it might be.
that's it. But you know, I'm the only one that really, like, what I found in my journey and in my growth is that is that really I'm the only one that I love myself so deeply that, like, I just need to show up in the best version of myself, and then everything else will be awesome. Will be okay. Because if you show up in love and you show up in truth, like, good things are gonna happen. The universe has your back, right? It's like that. It's like it's Ram Dass in his wheelchair in a crowd holding up the sign that just says like show up in love and be in truth. Like, fuck yeah, that's it. Like, that's all that matters. So yeah.
There are times and people when you've lived the extremes, which, I mean, that has been my path. And when you're on the extreme of just, you barely know, like, you're so exhausted, you don't know how you're going to get up the next day. Like, you've pushed yourself to the very limit, and you have whatever that be, physical ailments, you end up somewhere, you're like, whoa, like, I got to change. To that place where you just stop everything and you were like, I'm one with everything. I feel like nothing that I do needs to be proven. I can just be. And those are both extremes. Still, you're an entrepreneur. You're making a change. You're making an impact. How do you remain on that path and not get just taken by, I mean, there's so many different ways of connecting to something higher. How do you stay present in your mission and still, like, what drives you?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I think that what drives me is to be in service. And I think that currently I'm showing up in service to people through food, and through community. And I think that as I develop, you know, my next chapter in entrepreneurship is really this brand of coaching that I'm developing and that I'm starting, and to really be open about my path and my struggles and how I've kind of hacked the system in a lot of ways, and really just kind of helping heal people. I've been helping facilitate psychedelic ceremonies. That has been really powerful, and I've seen some of the most profound reactions in people. And so that's been an area where I'm helping heal, and I'm helping people heal through, you know, nourishment through food. And yeah, man. So me, it's showing up in service and being in service, and entrepreneurship, you know, it doesn't have to be about monetary success, you know. And for me, growth is a form of currency. Right? Growth is a form of personal currency. So anything that provides me with growth is an investment in myself. Right? And so for me, it's if I'm growing and I'm learning and I'm understanding and I'm fucking a better person, you know, an hour from now than I am right now, like, I'm making an investment in myself and I'm getting rich. And I'll tell you what, if with growth being a currency, I'm going to fucking die a rich man. Whether my bank account says it or not.
Yeah. So. There's a saying by Mike Posner, growth over consistency. And something I think about every now and then, how we're taught to, I mean, it's the industrial system, do your 9 to 5, be predictable, repeat, rinse and repeat, and do it over and over and over and over again. Especially, I feel like as men, we're programmed to just do, shut down our feelings and just repeat. And if you want more, then you dial up the volume and you work even more and you work even harder. And yeah, there are repercussions, but it's a calculated game. And now you're stepping into like the food portion. Like before, there was no, I'm reading the mind gut connection right now. And before, it was an industrial way of looking at it too. Like you eat the food, it goes down to your stomach. It works like this, I think they said this, steam machine or pump or something like that. And then the food gets digested it gets in the small intestine, the vitamins and all the nutrients gets absorbed and goes into the large intestine, and you get rid of the waste. And it was a simple process. Now, through research, they found all the microbiome and the actual nervous system in the stomach, as well as the immune system, and it's all connected, and it has this brain gut connection, and anything that you go through and that your mind perceives or your body perceives, and you can call it somatic emotional, it has a connection to the stomach, and as you, whatever you eat and how you digest it and when you eat it has a direct correlation of how you show up. That being amazing, and thank you for what you're doing with the food, because there's so many people, when they eat something, they don't know why they feel the way they do, or they don't eat it in a present state. Like, I needed to stop taking away. Even this week, I ate one meal in front of my computer because I was lonely. I wasn't eating with my family. I always eat with my family. But with that, it has a significant impact on how I feel and show up the rest of the day. But that going into also, and these are some of the things that so many people are doing, going into the psychedelic aspect. And there are many different ways of going about it. And there's a reason why it's being fast-tracked by the FDA and many higher governing powers in the United States, because of the brain connection, but also how it's rewiring the systems inside of the brain and also in the body. And to a lot of people, when they hear it, I know more so in maybe even Europe and certain areas of the United States, it's there's a negative view on it. And hearing maybe even they get the perception, okay, Eric used to be in that space. Like, maybe you can share, like, what is it why is psychedelics to you? How is that different than going into and doing your other type of recreational drugs?
I mean, dude, they're totally different arenas. Psychedelics for me, I use psychedelics as a way to heal trauma, and I do them in ceremonial format with the proper setting and intention. And so I really set an intention before I go in on what I choose to work on. And typically the medicine will give me an answer, whether I like it or not. It may be the intention that I set. It may not be the intention I set, but it will give me some understanding. And the most important part of any real psychedelic experience is the integration, and that time that happens after the actual experience. Like, we're going to get through the experience. Psychedelics are very non-lethal. So you're going to get through it. You may be in fucking hell for 8 to 20 hours, but you're going to end up surviving. You're going to end up getting through on the other side. Now, don't use psychedelics on SSRIs. Don't use it if you have a heart condition, but if you're really trying to heal trauma, try psilocybin in ceremonial format. Try, ayahuasca. Try these things, because you're getting 20 years of therapy in 8 hours, and you're gonna cry and you're gonna release. But you can't compare psychedelic use to recreational drug use. It doesn't compare. And frankly, they're all non-addictive. I mean, ketamine ketamine is addictive, so that's kind of one that you have to be a little bit careful with. But you're not going to go into a deep mushroom journey and then 2 days later be like, I want to go through that shit again. A deep mushroom journey is fucking powerful. It's hard. It's hard on the body. It's hard on the mind. It's hard on the spirit. We're not rushing back into these things, and really integrating and giving these medicines space. And so I think that, psychedelic research that's coming out through Johns Hopkins and through other major universities is really phenomenal. But where they're curing substance abuse, right? This is a good one, man. I have a good friend, and she owns a donut shop, and her son was battling heroin addiction, on death's door, had to be Narcan twice in a week. And I had mentioned to her the studies that they're doing with ibogaine and iboga, and how ibogaine can reduce the symptoms of withdrawal, and then it could allow you to live trauma that caused your addiction, and it's legitimately healing over 90% of the people that are really going into some of these ibogaine clinics. And he went down there after being Narcaned 2 days earlier, right? And he went down there a mess. And she looked at me and she says, if he lives 3 days, At least I know that he tried. So she was completely prepared for her son, who's 40 years old, to die. And 3 months later, he has not touched an opioid. He has worked through his trauma with his mom, worked through his trauma with his grandfather, and is healthy. He's like filled with life. And ibogaine and psychedelics have saved his life. And so I think that the importance of psychedelics is like, in 20 years, we should be treating everything with natural plants. Mm-hmm. Everything has a natural plant. Like Pachamama, the earth, like it created these things to help us heal. Whether it's aloe, right? That's a powerful plant. So is coffee. So is marijuana, CBD. I mean, these are all derivatives of plants. Cacao. I mean, I can go on and on and on. But you know, why don't we want psychedelic use, right? We don't want psychedelic use because then we won't have big business with antidepressants, and big pharma doesn't want it. Because what does opioids and SSRIs, like, they create addicts. Addicts are lifelong customers. That drives business, right? So big pharma wants people using their products. They don't want them to stop. So if we said, here's a psychedelic, or here's a plant that can stop your depression, that you won't have to go on Zoloft, you won't have to go on any SSRIs. I'm gonna give you this plant and it's gonna cure you. Well, that's terrible for business. That's awful. Right? We're gonna lose a lifelong customer. Right? That's revolving revenue. That's what we dream of as entrepreneurs, right? And so we're seeing a fight. I mean, look at the medical marijuana use, and how they've had to fight, and states opened, and it's proving to be fucking amazing for states, both economically and for a lot of conditions. So yeah, it's psychedelics are just they're fucking curing people. Like, it can't be denied anymore. Like, it really cannot be denied. Like, talk to the vets that come home from war and go do ayahuasca and help heal their trauma and aren't dealing with PTSD. Like, it's not bullshit. Mm-hmm. It's not fake. Like, this is happening. Like, get on board, and so I applaud the senator from Oregon that's pushing through legislation to try to legalize allergenic plants, what they're doing in Oakland, what they're doing in Oregon. These are the next steps. We also have, the Native Americans have been using psychedelics legally for a while through the Native American church and peyote ceremonies. And yeah, man, like, this is it. This is, we need rites of passage, right? Especially men. Men need rites of passage. We've lost our rite of passage. Do you know where I'm going here? Mm-hmm. Just like, we are stuck in boy psychology. We can be grown-ass men, but we're fucking children inside. And I think that, 100 years ago, we were left in the wilderness and we had to survive, right? Or you were the Great Depression and you left school early to work, right? Those were rites of passage into adulthood. And I think we need more rites of passage, that we don't have such an entitled community, entitled society, especially in men's work, man. Men's work is so important to, because we're seeing entitlement and all these other issues that can be changed with just fucking a rite of passage. Here you go. We're gonna fucking put you in nature. We're gonna put you in this tent for 14 hours, and you're gonna come out another man. Yeah, that goes in. I went on a tangent there, but yeah, man, psychedelics are a really powerful, really, really powerful tool for healing, for growth, and for shifting your mindset, man. And some of them can be total resets. So I'm a believer. Dude, I'm 3 years sober, and people want to cast judgment on me because I use plant medicine. Like, cool, dude, but I haven't done recreational drugs in close to 4 years, nor have I drank alcohol. And so, I think that it's really kind of cured me from my alcohol addiction. But we legalize things that are numbing agents. Because why would we want?
When you look at and follow and even listen to some of the Silicon Valley tech executives, that is on the forefront of their minds. And you just came from a podcast actually with Dave Asprey, the founder of Bulletproof, and he mentioned when he was in a room filled with these high performing executives, and he asked the question, is there anyone here who has not tried psychedelics? Please raise your hand. No one raised their hand. And he was like, whoa. And he himself he's an incredibly successful person. He's all into, for whoever doesn't know, biohacking and creating different types of high performing habits, rituals, products, so you can thrive as an individual and be just a healthy individual. But he too, and so many other people on the forefront who are making some of the most exhilarating changes in this world, are realizing that this is a path for me to also get into my trauma, to access parts in a natural way from nature, not in a synthetic or in another way, but actually access parts of myself. Yeah, there are different ways of going about it, and meditation and other things. There are longer ways of going about it, but there's another way if it's done right and facilitated and done with respect, care, and with someone who knows what they're doing, right? I mean, and these make significant changes in people, and like yourself and so many other people that we've come across as well. And what you're saying with the rites of passage, diving into that, I think opening up as men, but I think also as women, like being able to surrender. And for some people, psychedelics help with that. For me, meditation, definitely my wife, but just knowing and feeling defeat, feeling struggle, feeling hardship. I think that has been the most impactful in my life, being able to be in a difficult situation when you're not coddled, when you're left out with the sharks just to figure it out. And you've had your fair share of that, but always knowing that you have that love behind you, you have that support behind you. And I think we're losing that as men, but also as family members, where we are off distracted somewhere else, either by our work or by notifications, by our TV. And the more we get, the more distracted we get. Yeah, there we go. The more distracted we get, and really the presence is not there. Speaking of presence and presents, Jewish holidays are upon us, and I know you have your family waiting on the other room. So I think
we can have a couple more minutes.
Okay.
We start over this.
Okay.
I don't hear them yelling for me yet.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to kind of comment that Dave Asprey is a good dude. I'm in his coaching program through the Human Potential Institute. And
you are.
Yeah, and he's a really brilliant guy. And I agree with everything that you were saying about psychedelic use. I am a big proponent of it. I think that we should all go through it. We should all have that understanding of surrendering and really that ego dissolution. Because in the end, it's all love. It all comes down to love and being a better person and having empathy and compassion and like the trivial stuff that like comes up in our lives. A lot of it doesn't matter, right? Mm-hmm. Like the guy that cut you off in the car, before psychedelics, I would have like gotten cut off in a car, chased the guy down, laid on my horn, thrown a penny at his car, done something stupid, right? Now, like the guy cuts me off and I'm like, I wonder what he's going through. Okay. You know what I mean? So they just make you so much more compassionate, so much more full of life, done, in the right circumstances with the right people, the right setting and intentions. But I can't preach enough to you and to everybody, to the world about integration. It's the most important part. You can have a great experience, but if you don't integrate it to make positive change in your life, what's the point of doing psychedelics? There isn't. So.
Yeah. And I see that as part of slowing down and reflecting and not distracting and being present with the uncomfortable and the comfortable. Like for me, like sitting and having a meal without being on the computer, on the phone, just sitting there. whatever comes up, feeling my feelings, tasting every single bite and just enjoying it. And just, all right, what comes up? And that takes a lot. I mean, and I'm so grateful for my wife, for she was like, you need to get off your phone. Like, I was brushing my teeth on my phone. I was looking at my phone first thing waking up, and at night. And now I don't. Like, I look at it after 8, it's on airplane mode before that. And then at 6, it goes on airplane mode again at night. Because, and that's going into addiction now, is we all have it in one way or another. And I think it's some people, the most, you can say, detrimental that can be seen by the eye is drugs and alcohol, but it shows up in so many ways and forms. And it is, and I see it more so when you have trauma, or when you are even a high performer, there's some type of addiction to something, or you get just fixated at something and you just go all in. And for me, that's been everything from basketball to rap to even, I realized at one point I became a workaholic. Like, I became an egomaniac. And I didn't see a path out of it, and it controlled my life. And it would bring up such massive resistance, and it could have destroyed my life in so many ways. And that's never really talked about that often. And because it is so glorified as entrepreneurs, as high performers, that, okay, you reach the pinnacle, oh, you have this glamorous, successful life to the outside, but the majority of these people are not even happy, because they can't even sit with themselves, because the only way they even will feel anything is when they reach that goal, that goal that they've always set. And then they feel it for a split second, it's on to the next. And they're just constantly beating themselves up and always keep on going. And you can't sleep, and you need to take these whatever substances, or you need to be on whatever email or something to always fill your day. Because if you start slowing down, then it becomes too hard.
Well, let's also talk real quick about ways that you can optimize, and ways that you can create experiences like psychedelics without using psychedelics. And slowing down the mind, holotropic breath work. We've experienced it together. It is a powerful, powerful tool. Breath work in general, whether it's, Wim Hof breathing, Kundalini breathing. I mean, it's just such a powerful, powerful tool to use. Ice baths. Like, I don't know if you follow me on social media, but I'm taking ice baths 4 to 5 times a day at like 36 degrees.
A day?
A week, I'm sorry.
Okay. I was like, whoa.
Sorry. 4 to 5 times a week, and they are life-changing. Reset the nervous system, sauna, and heat therapy. I go to the Russian banya once, twice, 3 times a week, and just fucking cook myself. So things like this that have been around for thousands of years, we need to start dialing into. And like the easiest one of them all, deeply, deeply connect to nature. Right? Just be present, be in nature. Take a look at nature like it's just the most wild thing you've ever seen, and how, like, go into nature and find a dandelion and just be like, holy shit, a fucking dandelion. How the hell did this happen? It's growing out of the ground. It's got roots. It's alive. And taking that presence into just nature walks. To be in nature, and just things like that can help us reconnect and refocus and re-energize. And then if the psychedelic use is calling, you answer the call. But listen, it's not for everybody. People are going to judge me and think things about me for my for speaking up about it, and I don't care. They've changed my life for the better. But it's they're powerful, powerful tools, and tools to use safely and wisely.
Yeah. Eric, it's been a freaking pleasure. Thank you for taking us on a wild ride and a beautiful ride of your life and your present. There are one thing I want to close this off with. 2 questions. One is, what is your advice to high performers, elite performers?
Yeah, man, that's super simple. Slow down. Slow down. We focus so much on go 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 go, but what we really need is slow, 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 and connect to your mind, your body, and your soul, and really dial into presence, and it'll help you in that speed of your life.
Hmm. We've gone into your past. If you look at yourself 10 years from now, what do you think that person 10 years from now would tell you as an advice?
I did. I did that. Whew. 10 years from now, I see myself fucking, I don't know, just tapping into higher levels of consciousness, hopefully with no medicine use, and just being, it would tell me to slow down and to connect to the heart and to stay here, to get out of here and to stay here. Because the heart knows. The mind, it races and it looks forward and it looks back, and the heart stays present. And so I think that my 10 years from now, I'll have a big white beard. I'll have a red beard, and I'll just say, connect to your heart.
Eric, thank you genuinely. Microphone from the bottom of my heart, and really for jumping on and just being you. Thank you for sharing your magic, your story, and really where you came from, because it takes a lot. And I know even when I met you about a year ago, I'm looking at a way different man today.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a man, that is openly sharing, openly embracing trauma in anything in this world with an open heart, like even to the most masculine men. And just to tie this off with a little story, we met in Sedona, Arizona for the second time, and we went into a crystal shop, and Eric he loves this stuff. And I'm like, oh, so you're going to share this with your crew? He's like, no, like, I can't do that. These are ex-con people. Like, these are people like off the street. I can't do that. Do you know what they were saying? And today, it's just a very different man that I'm looking at, and one that is more integrated and just sharing this beauty and love and light with the world, and just fully expressing who you are with no qualms about it. And thank you for doing that.
That's it, brother. Love you, man. Excited to connect and to see you soon.
And to close it off, where can people find you?
Yeah, cool. Eat Local Fish on Instagram. That's my Instagram handle. You can kind of get me through there. Instagram's the easiest way to do it. I'm building a website now for my own personal brand, and then I'll be kind of going through coaching clients and stuff through there. Yeah, Eat Local Fish on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Much love to you. Eric Morris is doing it, man. He is in the game. He's knee deep and helping people while getting after it and making a change in this world. Thank you, Eric, if you're listening to this. And I hope you got as inspired as I, on a regular, get when I connect with Eric. So thank you for tuning in. And if you are compelled to do this, I even ask you this as a favor. 5 seconds. On Apple, scroll down. 5 stars. Hit like, hit subscribe. This helps us spread the message to more people. Thank you for doing that. Even write a review. If you haven't checked out the CrossFit programs, Methodical CrossFit, Gymnastics CrossFit, they are the bomb. And I say that because I do them, and I've worked on this for years, and finally I released it to the public. There's a reason why I'm getting stronger, why I'm getting more skilled, why I am shredded. I mean, this is the stuff that I do. This is not the CrossFit stuff that you would do at a box or a gym. Like, this is actual, like, methodical, structured, wise, intelligent programming that you can do alongside with me, with videos, instructions, in an app, seamless, easy. I'm right there to help and coach you. Check that out. 15% off with Safina, all caps 15. You can find that safina.io or safinastrength.com. I'm sending you so much love.